Again, they planted the right type of grass a year before we shot the movie to make it look and grow in. It was an extraordinary world they built for the audience, but again, also for us, for the actors. It was very useful.
Wow, it just made me love the movie 10 times more.
He's here! Mother! Father is here!
The king, my lady. The king.
Your fate is set and you cannot escape it.
Hello, Alexander. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
It is great talking to you. The movie blew my mind and your performance is amazing. So congratulations on the movie.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Robert. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This movie really blew my mind. It's so beautiful. It's so intense. So first of all, congratulations and thank you for giving us the Northman. And I gotta say that this movie got me thinking for days, even till today, about what destiny means. Because even if some people have like great aspirations or few, or in this case, an immense thirst for vengeance, we share the same destiny, which is death. I think like there's no escape from it. So I want to ask you, what is destiny to you and how did you work that complicated concept for this movie?
Well, I think, the Viking culture believes in the Norns of fate, these which are sort of like the Greek fates that, spin a thread that is your life. And so therefore there's only so much you can do
Right.
To change. And I think this kind of storytelling where you kind of know the ending from the moment the movie begins is difficult because how do you keep that exciting, and how do you keep the audience guessing on how we're going to see what we know is going to happen. But I think that for this character who knows that there is only one answer and only one outcome that is going to work for his entire life, things do not play out how he expects.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of fatalism can be frightening.
I kind of think of Hamlet as a flower that has been ripped out from the ground because it was meant to grow beautiful, but it has been taken, that opportunity. So even if you nurture it, its destiny, it's dead. So how did you work in order to create such a tormented and conflicted character?
There is at the core, so he's a very brutal Viking berserker when we first meet him as an adult in the movie. But it was important to hold on to the abandoned boy that you meet in the prologue. The fact that he lost his parents, he had to witness the murder of his father by his uncle in the beginning, and then lose his mother. And when we're reintroduced to him 20 years later, he has not had a human connection since. It was imperative to capture that loneliness, the fact that he'd been emotionally sheltered and for all those years. What drives him is a longing to be reconnected with his mother. In his mind, his fate, that's what he has to do, and no matter at what cost.
The idea of fate and the fantastic elements in Northman they are really different because they sometimes seem to be shaped by Hamlet's desires in attempt to justify his purpose. Do you think all mythology is created by our desire to transcend our basic instincts? And why do you think myth is so important for human civilization?
I think that myth probably springs from our most basic instincts rather than is trying to squash them. Certainly Judeo-Christian myth is more about trying to tamp down on that. But pagan mythologies, on the other hand, you're able to confront, the dark and the light, and it can be multifaceted in a different kind of way.
Did you want to be very upfront with the mystical side of the film, or also leave the audience wondering if everything was in Hamlet's head?
Yeah, I think that there, in one way, there's no distinction between reality and the mythological religious landscape of the Viking mind, because there are no Viking atheists. Trolls and ogres and Odin and Valkyries exist as much as you and I and the stones and the earth and the sun. But on the other hand, like as a person from contemporary culture today, like, you know, there are a few little things, you know, Ethan Hawke, you know, and Will Ferrell are taking hallucinogenics, you know, and some of the other things could be dreams. But if you believe it, it's real. That's the end of the, you know, if you believe it, it's real. So that's it.
And actually, speaking about human connections and actually being sheltered from everything, you know, like once he is an adult, we can see that he doesn't trust anyone. No, even if they call his group their brothers, he says like, I have no brothers. But he almost instantly trusts Olga, you know, when he meets her. So it's his most vulnerable side crawling to come out. How did you work along with Anya to create this bonding?
I wanted him to resist it. It was important that there is a very, very strong connection and a chemistry there. She is his destiny and he feels that, but he also tries to resist it because in the beginning he feels that that could be a distraction. He's so hell-bent on avenging the death of his father, saving his mother and killing his uncle. He does not want to be distracted. In the beginning he resists that urge or try to fight that connection with Olga. But then he realizes that she could also be a companion. She also wants to get off the farm so that maybe it's an opportunity to team up with her. Because again, like she says, he can break men's bones, but she can break their minds. That's an important asset.
It's amazing how the landscape, it's not only a witness of our character's journey and also a witness of some of the most cruel aspects of men's brutality. But here, nature and all of the surroundings feel like an accomplice as well. So how did you work in order to make every space feel so alive?
Yeah, I mean, we were scouting for locations that had epical, mythic feeling to them, you know, and they're very much the landscapes and the rain and the wind and the snow and the fire and the mud is very much what it makes the atmosphere of the movie. But it's also like, you know, the actors conduct themselves differently in that kind of environment, and so do the characters. I mean, what would have inspired me to get interested in Vikings in the first place was visiting Iceland and think that, you know, people in the so-called Dark Ages sailed there in this environment could not be more hospitable, and they didn't die.
Were there any particular scenarios that blew your mind while you were filming the movie?
Pretty much everything. Robert Eggers is incredibly meticulous, and his attention to detail is on a different level. He basically spent years doing prep for the movie, understanding the world that they lived in, but also down to minutia details. It was important to Rob to build the farm exactly the way it would have been built in the early part of the Viking Age. So the whole farm was built on location about a year before we shot the movie. The long ships were built from scratch, using the right type of wood, the right technique, the right nails. Everything about it was 100% accurate, and which is incredibly impressive. And also a treat for us actors, because when we're sitting in that boat, it's not a plastic boat with some wood on top of it. It's like a real Viking longship. When we walk around the farm, it's not just a facade and then a movie set. It's 360. You can move around it. Everything is real. The wood is real. You can smell it. You can touch it. Again, they planted the right type of grass a year before we shot the movie to make it look and grow in. It was an extraordinary world they built for the audience, but again, also for us, for the actors. It was very useful.
Wow, it just made me love the movie 10 times more. So thank you so much for sharing that with me and for your time. I love the movie.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time, and really from the heart, thank you for this movie. It's amazing.
Thank you. Interesting questions. I wish we could have talked longer.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.